but it's unclear where the migrants were from. Cal OSHA may fine Los Angeles County Superior Court more than $25,000 for multiple coronavirus safety violations. State officials informed the court that they found at least 3 health and safety violations, 2 of which were considered serious. The LA Times reports the fines are connected with working conditions and safety hazards, putting court.
All right, everybody needs to unmute and start their video.
Good morning, Richard.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Hey there.
And hello there.
So Luke, you've got, okay, you're off the mute. Susan's not off mute.
Hi.
There you go. So unmute Susan, and who's that?
Susan, yeah.
I saw Nancy popped in, but then she popped back out. She might be having some technical difficulty.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Richard, I told Nancy if she couldn't figure out the Zoom that she should give you a call. So
Well,
if the phone rings, it's her.
let me go rescue my phone from my 4-year-old. Hold on.
Oh, is that Nancy?
I see her. She's up.
Okay, so Nancy, you got to turn off your mute.
There we go.
You're still on. Okay, so go down to the bottom corner.
How's
left
that?
corner. There you go.
Okay, good. Great. We did it.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm going to introduce Luke, and then Luke, could you introduce Nancy, and Nancy, you introduce Susan?
Okay.
Okay. And who is Cameron?
Cameron is one of our students.
Okay, so I see his name, but I don't see him.
It's a girl, and
Oh.
she, okay, maybe she's not quite figured out how to be on Zoom there. Yeah, she's there. I think.
I'm here.
There she is. Do you want to go on camera?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Oh, okay. She's an amazing student.
All right, stand by, Elizabeth.
Have a good day, Bob.
In 3, 2, 1, you are live.
Hello, 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 Santa Barbara. It's your chantress of everything valuable and beautiful, Elizabeth Stewart. And I got an email the other day talking about that music is the inspiration for the next generation. I looked into it and I thought, wow, this is so cool. This is an organization that we in town know about. It's the Star Jasmine Foundation. And they're having a summer camp coming up August 2nd to the 6th. And it looks so interesting. I emailed the director, the executive director, Nancy Earl of JAMS in the Star Jasmine Music Foundation. And I asked her, you know, what's going on with this summer camp? And she sent me a track from the new album, 1010 Paradigms, where the students got together with some of the local stars of our community, music stars of our community. In this particular album, Jean-Michel Byron, the former lead singer of Toto, who helped the students put together this wonderful album. I listened to it, I thought, this is fantastic. You know, this is an award-winning program, and I thought we'd have the director of the Star Jasmine Foundation, Luke Archer, we'd have Nancy Earl, Susan Bradley, and a student to come and talk to us about the program. And I want to introduce the head of the Star Jasmine Foundation, Luke Archer. And he describes himself as a director, producer, and disruptor. And he's the owner of Cool Hand Look Agency, an award-winning director and content producer. He's worked with bands and live events. He founded in 2000 Just Enough Learning Company, and he produced a line of team-taught musical instruction kits, an online community, and associated products. And I bet that was pretty interesting during the Great Plague that we just went through. But anyway, later on, he went to launch the music video channels at MSN Video, and he directed their first live concert streamed on that network. And to the date, Archer has produced over 1,000 hours of live event content. And he served on the board of the Star Jasmine Music Foundation since 2011. It's worked to shape the organization's outreach program to at-risk youth in the Santa Barbara community. And he lives, this is so amazing. He has 3 kids on top of it all. I wonder how he does this. But anyway, Luke, tell me a little bit about who you're going to introduce and why you think the program is so valuable.
Well, thank you first, Elizabeth, for that great introduction. I will introduce Nancy Earl. She's actually the executive director of the Star Jasmine Foundation, which has been a wonderful community-led organization. We do a lot of outreach to the Santa Barbara community, and with a special focus on the youth. You know, a lot of young people are at a phase in their life when their identity is kind of collectively gathered with their friends, but it's generally centered around music. And what we've noticed through our programs is when we get some at-risk kids in there, maybe they're in a gang or just having troubles at home or in school, they pick up an instrument and start playing with other musicians, and it just starts a magical journey that transforms their lives. So I did want to correct one thing. I am not the director of JAMS. I'm on the board. Our director unfortunately passed away last year. His name was Hanny Nesser, and he was just an incredible human. Performed for the United Nations. Just wow, what a loving soul. So we're now on a search. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce Nancy Earl. Nancy started the Star Jasmine Foundation, boy, almost 20 years ago now, Nancy?
Yeah, it's been about 24 years.
Yeah, and she did that in honor and memory of her daughter who had passed and was a real fledgling young musician with a huge heart. And so that's kind of the foundation of everything we do, is to reach out to young people and just help people heal and move on with their life, having a wonderful life with the gift of music.
Mhm.
So you introduced Nancy Earl, and Nancy, thank you for being
Thank you
with us.
so
And
much.
yeah, and also thank you for all the really interesting material you've been sending me, and the gorgeous songs and the testimony of a student, and how, you know, music has changed the lives of so many of the students that you work with. And, you know, thanks for the organization, by the way. And would you introduce Susan to us?
Sure, thank you. So it's a pleasure to be here to share our mission and what we're all about. Susan Bardsley, she is a board member of the Star Jasmine Foundation. She's the secretary and just an amazing person. I've known her for 30 years and or more, and she just has a lot of insight, and she's been into music for 40 years at least. She's really had a lot of influence in our foundation and really the roots. She's just a wonderful, wonderful person. She is retired now from a vice president position in global encasement, and she's just really on it and loving and caring and compassionate person. And That's who's with us today, Susan Bartley.
And Susan, what's your role at the organization?
I'm on the board of directors and I'm the secretary.
I see. Okay. Well, before we get too much further, Richard, you've got some music lined up, I think. Yeah. So I wonder, maybe what we'll do is we'll go to our first break, but I want to just say that this is music from the students at the Star Jasmine Foundation, and I think what we're going to hear. Well, maybe we'll when we come back from the break, you'll tell me what we're hearing, because Richard got a whole load of stuff this morning that I sent him. So we'll see what's coming up. But suffice to say, this is music that the kids are involved in and playing and producing and working to in the studio, and the whole gamut. So let's go to a quick break. And like I say, the music that you're going to hear is from the Star Jasmine Foundation kids. Let's go to break, Richard.
Love come down, love come down. Embrace us with your presence, say love come down, love come on down. Embrace us with your presence, say love come down, love come on down. Embrace us with your presence, say love come down, love come on down. Embrace us with your presence, say
All right, you are clear.
All right, excellent. So maybe what we'll talk about, Nancy, if you'll talk a little bit about what the summer camp is all about. And is that, yeah,
Yes,
okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, the summer camp is just a wonderful opportunity for kids to come. It's 5 days long.
Well,
and
now,
they learn.
Nancy, excuse me, wait just a little bit, because we're not on the air yet. So Richard's playing that yet. So
Okay.
he'll give you a cue when we're on the air, and then yeah, we'll launch into the summer camp.
Oh,
And
okay.
then
What
I would like Luke to talk about what he was doing as a youth in music, and how how he personally, because now you've got a life in music, how this broadened out, and in other words, what this could mean for some of the kids in the organization. You sort of go along that line, that path. My grandmother used to say, what you are doing at 13 is going to be what you'll always come back to.
That would be a nice thing to say right there. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, those songs that I sent you, those are mostly from Jean-Michel. There's some of the people from JAMS, but mostly from recognized artists from around the world that came together, that Jean-Michel brought in to produce this CD to help our organization sustain itself.
Got it.
Yeah. And the one little clip that I sent you this morning, that's Cammie and Let It Be, playing Let It Be in our last summer camp.
So is Cammie here?
Cammie is.
Yeah, hi.
Okay. So Cammie, can you turn on your video?
Yeah, let me try to find the button. I'm on my phone, so all the buttons I'm gonna press.
too much killing going on. And too much.
All right, stand by.
Wrong.
In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and I'm talking with the Powers That Be, the Star Jasmine Foundation, notably Luke Archer, Nancy Earl, Susan Bardsley, and Luke and Susan are members of the board of the Star Jasmine Foundation. And Nancy Earl is the executive director. We're talking with all three, but we're also joined by a student. And Cameron, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Cameron. Okay, so Nancy, is Cameron the young woman that I saw playing the guitar on the video?
Yes, that's her.
Okay, super talented. And Cameron, how old are you?
I'm 14, about to be 15.
Okay, and are you going to pursue music in your life, you think?
I mean, it's such a great part of my life. I can't see myself doing anything else, so I probably will. Even if I don't pursue it as a career, it'll definitely be in my life always.
And what were you singing on that clip?
I was singing Yesterday by the Beatles.
Oh, actually, I think it's Let It Be. Can we hear a little bit of it?
I think when Richard's going to line that up, but he hasn't done that quite yet. So,
Okay.
but my point is, I know it was a Beatles song, but I wanted to work that song into my next question. So Let It Be and Yesterday, I mean, both will work for this, because I was going to sort of do a fun analogy here, which is, we were talking with Cameron about the idea that here she is performing, she's 14 years old, a beautiful voice, an accomplished guitarist. And I was thinking to myself, this is such a young, beautiful young woman. She's launching herself into this idea of a career of music, and the Star Jasmine Foundation is helping her along that path. But we have with us today Luke Archer, who also has had a life in music. As I was introducing him, he's produced 1,000 hours of live event content in music, and he's put together all sorts of teen taught music across his long career. I was wondering if Luke maybe would talk with Cameron about how Luke started when Luke was 13, 14 years old. And I just mentioned to Nancy during the break something that my grandmother said to me, by the way, Luke and Cameron. So when I was 13 or 14, I was painting a lot, and I was painting the insides of everybody's rooms in our little tiny house in the middle of Illinois. And my grandmother, who was an immigrant from Germany, spoke with a very thick accent. She's about 4'9", comes into the room and I'm covered in paint. And she said, what you're doing at 13, you'll always come back to. And boy, was she right. And so, couching that in this question. So Luke, talk to Cameron about where you were when you were Cameron's age.
Well, when I was her age, my father was a pastor, and I was only allowed to listen to Christian music for the most part. But
Wow.
Something very interesting happened. Our Christian bookstore had an album by the band U2 called Unforgettable Fire. And that was sort of really my journey into my love and passion for music. It wasn't until after I graduated from business school that I really fell in love with live directing, and just kind of by the grace of God was put in that position and started doing a bunch of concerts. So I did the blues festival, the jazz festival, everything else. Tons of reggae festivals, all up and down Northern California, some in Miami, on cruise ships, But what I will say is that being a PK, as we're called, there was a time in my life where I was really cut off to my spiritual side, just because I was, too entrenched with it. I went through a little bit of rebellion, and music was what brought me back to my spiritual center.
How old were you? What was this rebellion? How old were you?
Oh, 15 to 21 was kind of my tougher years. I was
Okay,
living on
yeah.
my own in LA, going to college, but it wasn't really until sort of, my 30s that I had the spiritual awakening with music, and it transformed.
Spiritual awakening. You say spiritual awakening through music?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
just feeling the presence of God through musical performances and what was happening there. For me, that was, everybody has a different journey, but that was my journey. And that sparked really a lifelong passion. I was already involved with the music and the kits and in my business adventures and the stuff I was doing with Microsoft. But there's nothing I love more than live directing. So I do that for like the California Roots Festival and some other major festivals in California. But talking to Cami, I work for an agency and we work with a lot of different artists. We started with Jack Johnson 20 years ago, a local agency called the Eniricom. So, being a musician full time is something that if you're going to do it, you have to dedicate all your life to it. And it's very difficult business to make a living in, but nowadays it's changed. Everything's changed. It's direct to consumer, it's social networks, it's an evolving industry. And so it's an exciting place for you to be. And, the real thing about music that I see through this program is it's community. Okay, so when someone comes into our program, they may be a little bit shy or timid, but once they start playing together with other kids, that's where you see the magic happen. And that's where you see their lives transformed, their grades go up, everything else. And what's great about JAMS is we're a community-run school. So, anybody can come through that door. And we have a bunch of free programs as well as, paid one-on-one tutoring and workshops and other things that we provide to the community. But you don't have to have an instrument. We've got hundreds of instruments. We've got a studio that has a big live sound room for bands to play, and then we've got the recording studio side of it. And that's something that, we've had to close during COVID. But right now, we're getting ready to open, and we've got some wonderful support. And we're asking for more support for the community because we need to do some soundproofing. We need to do some revamping,
Yes.
But the exciting thing is we've got Yamaha, and they're
Yes.
coming in with a small army of people to help us start on this revamping process. And so they have a community function where they're doing some team building, and they're bringing in a whole team of people to tune up the instruments, to fix some of the things that are broken. They're donating us an electronic drum kit. We've got neighbors on each side of our studio that don't like all the noise during the day when they're trying to run their businesses. So, for us to expand our programs and do more stuff during the day, that's our major goal, so that we can reach more people.
Was reading about Yamaha's commitment to the foundation, and I think that's fantastic. I mean, the idea here is that we're doing this program to let the community know a little bit more about the Star Jasmine Foundation and JAMS specifically, but I also want to mention that the organization, as Luke said, needs some funding. They've got some projects going on, and in concert with Yamaha's commitment, they're also asking for the community to step up and do a little bit. So if you are interested, you can look into Star Jasmine Foundation. There's a great website there. And if you're interested, you can, just a little bit would help. And by the way, I want to correct myself. We were talking about the music that Richard's going to play in and out of the break. That's another arm of the fundraising portion of the Star Jasmine Foundation. So
Yes.
the album 1010 Paradigm, Jean-Michel Byron, who was formerly the lead singer with Toto, and together with a lot of recognized artists from around the world, made a commitment to the foundation, and they were brought together to produce this album that you're hearing going in and out. So folks here locally listening, if you can get your head around the fact that artists from around the world are supporting this foundation, you can help too. So, this is a little bit of a plea as well, because, looking at what they do and how many kids they serve, you would be blown away. Richard's giving us a sign. We got to go to a quick break. I want to just reintroduce, we're talking with Luke Archer, Nancy Earl and Susan Bardsley, Luke and Susan, board members of Star Jasmine Foundation, Nancy Earl, executive director, and we've also been joined by 14-year-old student of the project. Cameron is on the line as well. And she was telling us a little about, she's 14 years old, by the way, going on 15. Now, if you thought about what you were doing at 14, Luke sort of shared with us that he was just entering a very rebellious stage in his life, and music pulled him through, and then through to the other end into his 30s, when he sort of discovered a real depth in the music that led him to a spiritual reawakening. So there's a long trajectory here of how music helped a professional like Luke. And Cameron's about to embark on that journey, because as I heard her say, she can't see herself doing anything but stay in music. How interesting is that, to know that at 14? Anyway, let's go to quick break. When we get back, I want to ask Nancy a little bit about the summer camp and what's going to go on August. It's August 2nd to the 6th. And what's going to go on in the summer camp, and what kind of, what I say, synergy, what happens in those days? You've got 4 days. And what happens during those 4 days? So let's go to quick break, and then Nancy's going to tell us about the magical 4 days of JAMS summer camp when we get back from the break. Don't turn that down. Back in a minute.
All right, you're clear.
Well, Cameron, that was fantastic. We got to mention that was you when we come back. Are you still there, Cameron?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, that was excellent. What a gorgeous voice.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when did you decide that when did you learn to sing?
My whole family has been in music for ever since I was born, especially my dad. And it started with singing lessons when I was about 8, I think. My little sister actually just started them too. And then I gradually learned a little bit of guitar, and right now I'm learning drumming.
Okay, so now who was drumming on that track?
I think it was Carly, and
I
there's
don't remember.
a young boy.
I think it was one of the camp
Teachers.
Like leaders, along with one of the younger students. They were like doing it together.
I see. Okay. Well, I was asking because I was wondering if maybe that you were actually drumming as well, and it was a mixed track. But yeah, that was a collaborative effort then. So, and now you mentioned your dad's into music. So, what kind of music does your dad listen to, Cameron?
He likes sort of a mix of like rock and roll and sometimes country. I mean, really everything. And he plays a lot of instruments too. He's really talented.
So I have to tell you, Cameron, that it's a little bit about, my life. My mom is a musician, and she was, she's still alive. She's 94. Thank God. And she performed concert piano. So I grew up with a musician as well. And it kind of pains in the butts, really. She had perfect pitch, which was a real problem around the house.
I was walking the streets of London and I came to one conclusion. That all the wars around the world is not the revolution.
All right, stand by.
No, it ain't.
In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and I've got a great pleasure of talking with the folks at the Star Jasmine Foundation. Nancy Earl, Executive Director of 20 plus years. And we're talking a little bit about what the summer camp is going to be like. And the idea of the summer camp is that it's just a few days, August 2nd to the 6th. It's coming up fast. So if you've got a talent, well, if you've got a child that might be interested, this is a great time to look into it. And Nancy's going to tell us a little bit about the camp. And what I'm most interested in is what happens during those 4 days. I mean, what can you get accomplished in 4 days, Nancy?
Hi. Well, actually, it's 5 days, and it's amazing how quickly they can write a song in 5 days and learn a couple other recognized songs and put a show together at the end of the week for their parents and family members. It's just amazing. They start off with a little bit of connection in the very beginning, and we have drums so they can get the rhythm, because it's really important to connect with that rhythm of your heartbeat and connect with each other. So we do like a drum circle, and they introduce themselves, and then we get right into it. We have music exploration. They can go in, we have so many instruments, they get to try different ones and see what resonates with them, which is wonderful. They don't always have an opportunity to do that. So it's really, I think, a very important thing. I remember when I was a child, and they had 4 or 5 instruments in band that you can pick from. It was like a lottery. And if you didn't have that instrument, if you didn't get picked, you didn't get to play. So that's one of the reasons that I was inspired with JAMS. But anyway, it's just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. So they break off into groups and they learn their songs, and we have a break and we have healthy, yummy snacks. And then they get back into it and work on their material. And it's 3 hours a day, and it goes by so fast. Everybody's having so much fun, and you connect and you meet new friends. And by the end of the week, they've got it together somehow, and they've written a song, and they've learned these other songs. I don't know how it happens, but with these great teachers we have, it just works out perfect. And the students are so talented, and the ones that aren't as talented, the older ones help them out. Last summer camp, we had Cammie was there, and she was assistant teaching the younger kids. It was so beautiful. And it just shows me and the world that if we get together collectively and help each other with all different types of backgrounds, we can come together. We don't even have to speak the same language, because music is a universal language.
So I want to ask Luke, Luke, you've had so much experience in directing. And so the idea that in the 5 days with 2 or 3 hours a day, at the end of the 5 days, there's a concert produced. Is that, I mean, can you reflect on that a little bit? It sounds almost impossible to me.
It's definitely not impossible. In fact, there was just a film that I worked on that got released called Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. And this is a very similar concept. So you're putting, people together for 5 days. In our case, it's a little bit different from that, where you get to jam with rock stars and they form bands, and at the end of it, you go and you perform at like the Roxy and some of the clubs around LA. But we do a very similar experience. So kids get together, they find out which instrument that they resonate with. We give them some instruction on that instrument. We get them together to play one song. And at the end of it, they get to perform it and feel good about themselves and good about the camaraderie and the new friends they made. And hopefully our goal is to spark that lifelong passion. Because
So
music,
when you say you introduce them to a lot of different instruments, does that mean that they're coming in with really no music training at all at
We'll
some
take them at
places?
any point. At any point, if you've never been introduced to music, we will introduce it to you, and that's a big thing for people, because this is a low pressure environment, right? This isn't something where you're out in public eye and everybody's going to judge you. There's a lot of people don't do new things because, you know, they don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And for us, we don't care. You know, we'll put, you know, in many cases, our instructors are people that have been playing music, that are well known in their category, you know, with lifelong careers. Sometimes we have celebrity instructors that come in, you know, from bands like Canned Heat and other bands. You know, I have to say
Those
one,
levels.
we have gotten tremendous support from our community, and I would like to just take a second to kind of recognize some of the people that have helped us. You know, the Santa Barbara Bowl has been very helpful and supportive of our organization. Jack Johnson has been very helpful and supportive of our organization. Tom, who are some of the others? Norm
Waite from Kind World. Yeah, we have had some really good support. Kenny Loggins, Peter Frampton. We've had some really good support from some wonderful people. We're so grateful.
When we get back from the break, I want Cammie to talk a little bit about something that caught my attention when Luke was speaking. You know, you walk into the summer camp and you're not necessarily accomplished musician. And I want Cammie to think about during the break, if Cammie can recognize, because she was student teaching, can she recognize talent even though it's not obvious that you know that this person has actually been around a guitar or around drums. So I want Cammie to tell us a little bit about maybe a student or two that she was coaching last summer during the summer camp, that perhaps she felt in her bones, this person, even though they've never been exposed to an instrument, they've got talent. And I want to know why Cammie thinks that way, if she does. So we go to quick break. And like I said, the music is brought to us by Nancy Earl, and it's all connected with the Star Jasmine Foundation. Notably, a new album that was actually a miracle came together, 1010 Paradigms. John Michel Byron brought together all sorts of recognized artists from around the world, and they produced this album as a fundraising tool for the Star Jasmine Foundation. So you're going to hear a little of that. When we get back, Cammie's going to tell us a little bit about how she recognizes talent amongst the students that have participated in the JAMS summer camp. Don't turn that down. Back in a minute.
I really wanna know now if people keep on sharing. Can you see what got to, I've got to find a way, yeah. Can you see what is going on?
All right, you're clear.
So Cameron, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you understand what my question is?
Yeah. So
when we get back from the break, Richard will give us the cue. When we get back from the break, I want you to talk a little bit about, you know, your job as a coach and how you recognize talent in another student. It's you know, that's always a really interesting question to me, because you know, I teach myself, I teach art history, and how you recognize that there's somebody that's just natural
yeah.
so I want to know what your thoughts are on that when we get back from the break. And Susan, you know, we haven't heard too much from you. I want to talk a little bit about what your role is as far as how you came to the organization. You know, are you a musician yourself, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to talk a little bit about Susan when we get back from the break as well.
All right.
Yeah.
So Cami, there's a button at the bottom of the screen that says start video. Do you see that?
Yeah, I'm on my phone right now, so all the buttons are
Oh,
really
okay.
small and like
Oh.
pushed together.
Okay.
I could just keep my mic off the whole time so that you guys still know I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I couldn't find it at first either, Cam. It was on the was it on the left? Is that it? Because I'm on
It
my
is
phone.
on the left, yeah. It's there's two buttons on the left. One says mute and the other one says video.
Oh, okay. And then Susan, I was thinking you could mention, we served Path Point for 6.5 years, and and you came to a lot and helped out with that. And
All right, 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. Richard, you caught me. I was looking for Bear. He was wandering around out there. I've got this little mini Dasha, and I'm sorry for that. So Cammie, you were going to tell us a little bit about, how you recognize talent. So you've been coaching, and take us there. How do you recognize talent in a fellow student?
One thing I love that Luke said is that you guys accept any student, no matter how far along in their music career they are. I mean, my little sister, she was probably about 5 or 6 at the time, and we had her playing piano and drums and everything. And so sometimes one thing that sometimes is even more important and special than talent is hard work and just the drive to pursue music and just play music, which you can really see it, especially when it's so strong in a student. And as for talent, I think I worked with Luke's son, Kingston. I remember Kingston because every single instrument he just wanted to do. He thought, oh, I could do the drums. Oh, I could do singing. I could do piano. And he just wanted to do everything. He was just so ecstatic about everything.
So Kingston, how old was Kingston, Luke?
Well, he's 8 now, so he was probably 7 at the time. Yeah.
Does Kingston play anything?
My son is very into Star Wars and Legos and those sorts of things. So he'll jump on the keyboard and he'll pound out his version of soundtracks for those movies. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I want to know, Susan, are you a musician?
I'm not a professional musician, but music has been a part of my life since I was a little girl. And all of my relatives played instruments, and we sang at parties. And I took piano lessons from the nuns in the convent when I was 8 years old. Throughout my life, took lessons and sang in the choir. So music has always been a nurturer for my soul. I was able to get into it. If I was feeling sad or blue, music would lift me up out of that mood. So when I met Nancy in 1981, and then Star Jasmine Foundation was formed in 1996. So we had formed a music community in Carpinteria. And so brought together artists, musicians, and every few times a week, actually, we got together. And then the children were with us too. And so they were part of the whole scene. And Jasmine, of course, was one of those young people that were being nurtured and brought up in the liveliness and the love of music. So I guess I digress, but it's been a part of my life, my entire life. And my greatest joy is helping Nancy. So as secretary on the board of directors, I help Nancy with meetings and taking notes on the meetings and helping her whenever I can with any of the events that occur. And one of the things that I've been able to help with too was Path Point Foundation based in Santa Barbara. They help people become independent, people with physical challenges. And one of the things that JAMS was able to do was have them in as a group. And that has been the most rewarding thing. 3 of our teachers, I want to give a shout out to them, would take this group, and it was a small group. It was like maybe 8 students from Path Point. And they did blues songs from the 50s. And they were able to choose what songs they wanted to play and sing. And so they got together this playlist. And then we were able to go out into the community to nursing homes, to churches when they were having group events, and they would perform. And the shout out to the teachers, Rick Reeves, he's a local legend, blues legend.
What was the name? Say the name again.
Rick Reeves.
Okay.
And Andrew Paul, another teacher, great teacher, and Nell Aiken, who would get together, these 3 teachers, and I would come in just to support them and to sing along with them, and because it was just great fun. So I think that was one of the things that JAMS can do for the community, is to bring that joy. So the people in the nursing homes and the events that we attended, they would be clapping and singing and dancing, and they were all ages. It was fun.
It was fun, and it was rewarding. I can hear it in your voice. Yeah. Luke is nodding his head, and he's very, he's getting fair clamped, as we say, about this. And now I see a little boy in the background. Luke, who is that?
Oh, good.
Oh, that was probably Kingston or Joshua. I've got 2 young sons. One of the things that we often say around JAMS is if you've got a heartbeat and you can tap into that, then you can tap into music. And, let's face it, we're in a wonderful community in Santa Barbara. It's one of the best places on the world to live. But there's also some other issues in the area. It doesn't seem like a week or 2 goes by and we hear about some gang violence or something else. So one of the things that we've started at JAMS is a program where community members can actually go out and sponsor a youth in their community. And it's roughly $600 a year, you get to sponsor an at-risk kid, and they'll get a year's worth of weekly lessons. Plus, if they stick with the program for the end of the year, they get to keep an instrument. Okay, I mean, what's it worth to stop one of those incidents of violence?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, if you're interested in becoming one of those sponsors, please do check out the website, Star Jasmine Foundation. And Richard, you're giving us this. Yeah.
Excuse me, can I say one thing? It's actually jamsmusic.org.
Okay.
www.jamsmusic.org.
Okay. All right.
So JAMS is our blanket organization, and then we run the music school JAMS. It's down on Milpas, right in the the east side community.
Milpas and Ortega.
At Milpas and Ortega. Hey, Richard, you mentioned we have to go to quick break. Let's go to quick break. And like I said, the music that we're coming in and out, if it's not Cameron singing, then it's probably the 1010 Paradigms, which is by the way, available, and it's a wonderful album pulled together by Jean-Michel Byron, former lead singer of Toto, who brought together all sorts of notable musicians from around the world to support JAMS and the foundation. So don't turn that dial. Back in a minute with these wonderful folks.
Just a little love, go ahead and shine your light. Gotta take the time to make things right. What the world needs now is healing time, healing time. What the world needs now. Let's make a change for the good of the children. Look around the world today.
Voting is how you can help preserve and participate in democracy. There are several legal and secure ways to cast your ballot during the pandemic that are safe. All states allow voting by mail. Studies show it is reliable and voter fraud is rare. 40 states allow early voting in person too. And you can still go to the polls on Election Day, November 3rd. You cannot vote by text on social media or over the internet. And the election cannot be postponed or canceled. Voting depends on you. Democracy depends on us.
What's the most important factor in selecting a roofing contractor? What good is your bargain priced roof when you discover that the contractor's no longer in business when you have a problem? Jack at Action Roofing has been serving Carpinteria to Santa Ynez for over 36 years, a statement very few can make. Experience means good advice on selecting the correct roofing material, appropriate ventilation control, optional skylights, and most importantly, professional installation.
There we go. So Cameron, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so maybe you could tell us a little bit about what your plans are for the summer camp. Are you going this year?
Yes, I'm going to. I'm like 99% sure. There might be a tiny chance that it overlaps with my school, but I don't think it will.
Okay, so when we get back from the break, I want you to tell us what you're anticipating. You know, how are you gearing up? You know, what is it? Just excitement? Are you preparing? And are you going to teach? Are you going to play? What you going to do? So I'd like to talk a little bit about that when we get back.
All right.
Yeah, Cammie. Yes, I would love for you to do some assistant teaching. You're so good with kids, but we want you to play though too. That's most important.
Yeah. I mean, even the assistant teachers, like the adult ones and stuff, they'd all play with us
Time of
too.
tribulation. It's time to rebuild.
Yeah, I know. I love it how
Positive
everybody
energy,
comes together and does
forward
everything
progression.
together collectively.
All right, stand by. You have
Children,
4.5
give
minutes.
love to
4.5
receive
in
love.
3,
Be
2,
the
1.
change you
You're
wish
live.
to see in the world.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth
Ja.
Stewart, and I'm talking with the gang at JAMS. The umbrella organization is the Star Jasmine Foundation, and JAMS is the storefront that you see in off Milpas at Ortega. And what happens there is the summer camp. The summer camp is August 2nd to the 6th. And Cameron is 14. She's one of the performers and musicians that attend the camp. And she also does student teaching. And Cameron is 99% sure she's going to go to the camp this year. And how are you gearing up, Cameron?
I mean, you don't really have to prepare for anything. You sort of just show up and they'll accommodate you at whatever level you're at. Right now I'm working mostly on my drumming skills and some singing too. So I hope to do a little bit of drumming this summer. I didn't really do any of that last summer. I mostly focused on singing and guitar. And one thing about this year that I'm excited for is I'm gonna be able to focus more on the counselor side, being able to help a lot of the youngers, because that is just as enjoyable for me as being a student. And honestly, I learned just as much because the whole program, you all learn from each other.
Yes.
Nancy, just tell us a little bit about the collaborative effort.
Well, I just love to see, I'm not there the whole time, but I come in and out and bring snacks and connect with them all. But I just love to see how different age groups come together. And it's not because, you know, they say, I put on the flyer, it's ages 8 to 18, but we've had kids in there as young as 4, and they actually were very focused and so excited to be with the older kids and had some talent there in the drumming, and they just really take it all in. And that just really surprises me. So when people say, well, what age group is it going to be? And then adults come in, volunteer adults that really want to help it be a success, that are super talented musicians and a lot of different instruments. So everybody works together in harmony.
So if there's someone listening who wants their children to participate, is it expensive?
Well, the class is $295 for the 5-day enrollment, but nobody's turned down. We want everybody to have an opportunity to have music in their lives. And we'd love to give away a scholarship on the air if we can do that.
So, Richard, we've only got a few minutes, but Richard, if it's 805-564-1290 is the phone number for the studio. And Richard, if you're listening and you'd like a free scholarship to the summer camp, give Richard a call. Richard Dugan is our producer standing by. So it's 805-564-1290. And then we'll get you in touch with Nancy that, after you make that call and like to have a free scholarship. And if it's Friday, we're live. So, do call 564-1290. So, and by the way, I want to thank you, all three of you, and Cameron, the student, for coming along and, participating and letting us know what JAMS is up to. It's just been a wonderful hour. And like I say, you're more interested, you want to support JAMS, you can take a look at Nancy, tell us again the website.
The website is www.jamsmusic.org.
Well, thank you to Luke Archer, a board member, Susan Bradley, board member, our Jasmine Foundation, Nancy Earl, executive director of JAMS. The summer camp, guys, August 2nd to the 6th, and any age, well, they're specifically saying 8 to 18. Come along and thank you guys. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Elizabeth and Richard.
It's 11
It's so
o'clock.
wonderful.
Hi,
Thank
this is
you.
Lisa Cohen.
You are clear.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
Thank
you
you
so much.